Pasquale Amato, the 21st of March 1878 to 12 August 1942, was an Italian operatic baritone. Amato enjoyed an international reputation but attained the peak of his fame in New York City, where he sang with the Metropolitan Opera from 1908 until 1921. Early career. Amato was born in Naples and studied locally at the Conservatory of San Pietro of Majella under Beniamino Corelli and Vincenzo Lombardo, who also gave singing lessons to the great Neapolitan tenor Enrico Caruso. In 1900, he made his debut at the Teatro Bellini in Naples as German Peri in La Traviata. Engagements followed in Genoa and Rome. Over the next few years he sang in Monte Carlo, Germany, parts of Eastern Europe and Argentina. In 1904, he appeared at London's Royal Opera House with the Teatro di San Carlo Company. Although well received, he was not invited back. He was engaged by La Scala, Milan, and sang there in 1907 under the baton of Arturo Toscanini. His voice had matured by now into a top-class instrument, and he was praised for his versatility and artistic integrity. In 1913 he was accorded the honor of taking part in the Verdi Centenary commemoration at the Bussetu Theatre. He appeared at the commemoration in La Traviata and Falstaff with Toscanini conducting. Other important operatic roles which Amato sang in Italy prior to World War I included Amournosro in Aida, Marcello in La Bohème, the title part in Rigoletto, as well as Golord in Pelléas et Melisande, Coronel in Tristan und Isolde, Scarpia in Tosca and Barnaba in La Gioconda. New York. Amato repeated some of these roles at the Metropolitan Opera, where Toscanini had gone to conduct and where Amato made his debut in 1908. He maintained a taxing performance schedule at the Met until he left the company in 1921, appearing in a number of operatic works that he had not undertaken before. In 1910, for example, he sang in Gluck's Armide, along with Olive Fremstad, Enrico Caruso, Louise Homer and Alma Gluck. In December of the same year, he created the part of Jack Rance in Puccini's La Fanciulla del West, singing opposite Caruso, Emmy Destin, Dingili and Antonio Pini-Corsi. Amato was by now a celebrity, and his re-arrival in the United States by ship in October 1912 with fellow baritones Tita Ruffo, Antonio Scotti and William Hinshaw, and soprano Lucrezia Borri, received interested press coverage. In 1913, Amato created the title role in Cyrano by Walter Damrosch. Francis Older and Ricardo Martin were also in the cast. He performed, too, in the year's production of Un ballo in Maschera with Caruso, Destin, Marguerite Matzenower and Frieda Hempel, and with them again in Arrigo Boito's Mephistopheles. In La Gioconda, he sang alongside Destin again, and Margareta Antoba. Amato was especially admired as Escamillo in Carmen, supporting Geraldine Farrar, Caruso and Older, when the opera was successfully revived in 1914. Also in 1914 he performed the part of Manfredo, opposite Adamo Dida and Lucrezia Borri, in Montemezzi's L'amor dei tre re, when that new work came to New York. And in 1915 he created the part of Napoleon in Umberto Giordano's Madame Sans Jean, with Farrar as Catherine. In 1916, he gave the premiere American performance of the role of Giovanni in Riccardo Zandoni's Francesca da Rimini, opposite Older and Giovanni Martinelli, and in 1918 that of Gianetto, with Farrar, Caruso, and Dida, in Mascagni's L'Odoletta. Amato's punishingly high work rate of the Met took its toll on his voice and he retired to Italy during the 1920s, owing to ill health. But in 1933, 25 years after his American debut, He appeared there again at the New York Hippodrome, singing the role of German Perry. Amato had an affinity with America and, in 1935, he was made head of studies in voice and opera at the Louisiana State University, where in 1939 he was initiated as an honorary member of the Beta Omega chapter of Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia fraternity, the national fraternity for men in music. He died at the age of 64 in Jackson Heights, Queens. Appraisal. Amato in his prime possessed a superb high baritone voice of wide compass. According to Michael Scott in The Record of Singing, it had a ringing and vibrant tone that could not be confused with that produced by any other baritone. Although it was not quite so opulent as the vocal instrument possessed by his famous contemporary, Tito Ruffo, it was still wonderfully resonant and secure, with plenty of carrying power and flexibility. Amato also sang with masterful phrasing and cantabile. In short, he was one of the most distinctive singers of his age. Recordings. A number of extremely impressive gramophone records of operatic arias were made by Amato in America for the Victor Talking Machine Company, including some duets with Caruso and other stars of the Met. His 1914 Victor recording of Eri 2 from Un ballo in Mastura, for example, is considered by many critics to be the finest version ever committed to disc. Prior to his contract with Victor, Amato had made a series of discs in Italy for Phonotypia Records, which included operatic arias and a remarkably intimate A Sirena, a Neapolitan song. Later, in 1924, he made an obscure, and poorly recorded, group of discs for the Homophone Company. He is known to have made just one electrical recording, a Neapolitan song, produced by the Vitaphone Company in 1927. Both sound-only and motion picture versions of the song have recently surfaced. Amato also appeared as a straight actor in a Warner Brothers motion picture, playing Napoleon in 1928's mostly silent film Glorious Betsy Awards, as well as receiving honors from the Italian government. Amato was initiated as an honorary member of the Beta Omega chapter of Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia at Louisiana State University in 1939. Notes. Sources. A. Eaglefield Hull, A Dictionary of Modern Music and Musicians. Dent. London 1924. G. Cobbey. The Complete Opera Book. Putnam, London 1935 printing. H. Rosenthal and J. Warwick. The Concise Oxford Dictionary of Opera. OUP. London 1974 printing. M. Scott. The Record of Singing Volume 1. Duckworth. London 1977. J. B. Steen. The Grand Tradition. Duckworth. London. 1974. Biographical Notes. 1911 recording of Largo al Factotum from the Barber of Seville. Modern Vocal Methods in Italy. In Great Singers on the Art of Singing. Harriet Brower. James Francis Cook. eds. 1996. Courier Dover Publications. Mineola, New York. ISBN 978-0-486-29190-1. Pasquale Amato at the Internet Movie Database.